Crawford was born on October 31st, 1891 in Newton, Jasper County, Iowa, a market town about 25 miles east of Des Moines. Ethel Comer was born in Oklahoma on September 28, 1893. They were married on November 30th, 1915 in Iowa. Ralph and Ethel, along with his younger brother Gilbert and their uncle Clarence, came to Wisconsin from Iowa. They were lured to the Couillardville area by the relatively low prices of farmland. According to their granddaughter, Mary Beth Crawford Dorvick, Ralph and Ethel initially settled on a farm just north of Couillardville, perhaps in Little River, while Gilbert purchased Yarwood Matravers's 152-acre farm on County Road J. Soon thereafter, around February 1920, the two brothers agreed to trade farms. Meanwhile, Clarence bought some 60 acres just down the way on the west side of County Road J. Following a barn mishap that permanently injured his hands, he hired a part-time handyman to help out with the heavy work. Eventually, he sold the farm to Harry Delano, who bought it for his son, Ed. No doubt influenced by the knowledge he gained in earning an agriculture degree from Iowa State University, it would be an understatement to call Ralph merely an innovator. He was known for engaging every available resource to improve the farm operation. Ralph was truly an apostle of advanced agricultural methods and techniques, always seeking new ways to improve efficiency and quality in tilling, planting, cultivating, harvesting, storage, and soil management. Ralph was also dedicated to not only productively farming his own land, but to helping his fellow Wisconsin farmers find new and better ways to improve their own operations. An article appeared in the June 1959 edition of the Badger Farm Bureau News announcing Ralph's selection to be a Farm Bureau State Board Director. It goes a long ways towards explaining why Ralph was regarded so highly by his professional colleagues across the state. The Crawfords' expansive holdings eventually grew to over 700 acres of corn, alfalfa, cash crops, and pasture land for their 200 head of cattle, including over 60 Holsteins for milking. In early 1965, while helping Merrill deliver a truckload of shelled corn to Lena, a lifetime of hard work and dedication to his family and community came to an end when Ralph's strong heart finally gave out. He was buried at Evergreen Cemetery in Oconto, where Ethel joined him in 1979. Ralph and Ethel's 4 children eventually had 14 children of their own. In June 2019, at a family gathering in Green Bay, the grandchildren shared their memories of the Crawfords of Couillardville.
I absolutely adored my grandpa, but he had a robin's egg blue Ford pickup truck, and I loved it when he came driving in the driveway. I would hop in the truck with him and ride down to the feed mill in Brookside. When he was probably 12 years old, he was having so much difficulty with school and reading that I understand Grandpa gave him the choice of leaving school and just working on the farm or pushing his way through school as best he could, and he opted to help on the farm. So at a very young age, he was doing a team of horses and doing some heavy, adult farm work.
So what are your memories of farming?
Well, as a child, I didn't like it too much because it was work. I think I started driving tractors around age 10, and then by age 12, I was old enough to drive the four-wheel drive tractors. So in 2 years, you had to learn quickly. To me, I don't think I appreciated it then, because all my friends were off playing and doing other things. Well, I had to drive a tractor, I had to go plow a field or whatever. And now I look back and wish I could do that now.
Yeah.
Oh, something I do remember about Grandma. that she would go with Grandpa when he bought seed corn. They were packaged in floured feed sacks, and Grandma would look at the feed sacks and say, "This is the fabric I want." We really weren't allowed in the barn because the cows were not used to children. And see, this changed later. We were actually told that if we were noisy in the barn, we would scare the milk out of the cows. That is no joke.
My grandfather died when I was 15, and that was 1965, I believe, and in January, and it was the coldest winter that I remember. Up until that time, we lived in South Dakota, which could have severe weather and a lot of snow, but not the 20 below stretch that we had that winter. And the fall of '64, they had a bumper crop of corn because they had like a 4 or 5 car garage, and that was full of corn. I believe there was some corn stored on the ground, and all the regular storage was full of corn. They just didn't have any place to keep it that was protected from the weather.
What were the values that seemed to be, what were the Crawford values that were passed through there?
They weren't ostentatious at all. They were very practical people and hardworking.
I remember the parlor in their house, which was a room that was only open for very, very special occasions. It had a piano in there and really, really nice furniture. It had French doors. We all got to kind of look at it, but rarely go into it. We would stay in the bedrooms upstairs. I would say one of the things about Grandpa that I remember was that he was really a student of agriculture. He was on the board of his church.
My name's Noel Alberts. I was born in July 29th, 1941 in the town of Sandusky, Ohio. And I'm the oldest brother in the Alberts family of 3 children. And I have a brother, Delbert, who passed away, and of course my sister, Judy. The 3 of us actually were adopted by William and Stella Alberts. Of course, when Glenn's barn burnt down, we milked our cows first, and then Glenn's brought their cows down to our barn and milked their cows when their barn burned down. And of course, everybody went up there and built the barn in a day or so. Put it, you don't have that today. Everybody's me. Too much me. And those are the most interesting days of my life up there. They weren't all pretty, but I pick out the ones that were always the best, that's people and helping each other. So, kind of miss those days.
So how do you remember Ralph?
Tall. He was a hard worker. And he was a man of God. Faith, was important to him. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was instrumental in some of the church foundings for like the O'Connell Gospel Chapel and that sort of thing. I think somewhere in there. So I think that was one thing that I really appreciated, is our Christian heritage that way. I do remember when we had softball that I got hit in the face, and that was the last time I wanted anything to do with sports. But I do know that I really liked Miss Tommy. I liked her as a teacher.
I remember him being a very strong man, he was involved in the Farm Bureau. I remember he used to take trips regularly to Madison, and he definitely had an air that kind of, I think, commanded respect, maybe.
How about 4-H?
Oh, I loved 4-H. I had a horse, too. I was into riding, and my horse's name was Gypsy. And my dad always told me, you will never win blue ribbons with Gypsy. You can try, but, don't expect that. Well, I did. I won 2 blue ribbons. And
My dad, I think, was pretty much all about the farm. He was a hard worker also. My mom was an amazing person. She had MS for most of my life. Was diagnosed when I was young. And so I just, what I remember about her is just being the strongest woman ever, because she had to forge through a pretty debilitating disease, and yet she was an amazing example for us and loved us, and she was a good woman. Yeah, and I can remember before going to the ice cream social, like just for days thinking what kind of pop I was going to get, because there was orange and strawberry and grape, but we only got 2 dimes, so we could only buy 2 bottles of pop. And that was a big trauma for me to decide what I was going to do between orange, strawberry, and grape.
One thing I do remember, there was one time when my younger sister, she was 2, and we got a call from Grandma. We were doing an addition to our home, and Grandma called and says, "Do you know Darlene's on top of the roof?" And she said, "Don't go out and scare her so she falls, but just so you know, she's up on the roof and we probably should get her down." So that was the advantage of having Grandma live right across the street. She could keep an eye on what was going on. I do remember when I was a little tight going to the barn early in the morning with Dad, and that probably was just something I wanted to do. It wasn't mainly chores, but probably something I wanted to do with him early in the morning for a time period, and then that kind of phased out. But we did a lot of the cooking and cleaning, because by the time Mom was diagnosed when I was just a baby with multiple sclerosis, so as I got older, her disease crippled her more.
I remember when I was young, like, he was the one that would, like, if I had doctor's appointments or, something like that, parent-teacher conferences, he would have to be the one to go.
Because your mom was already...
Yeah. I have no recollection of my mom ever walking. The only memory I have of her is in a wheelchair. I mean, she probably, when I was born, I doubt that she was wheelchair-ridden, but I have no memory of her walking. I would say that I probably take more after my mom than my dad.
In what way?
Well, like, my mom liked to listen to music. My mom, I mean, her eyesight was bad by the time I was born, but, I imagine that she had been a big reader. She used to be a school teacher. I remember, like, some of my favorite memories were, like, Saturday nights. All my older sisters would be, some of them were already out of the house, and, Pat was probably off with her friends. And we used to sit there and watch Carol Burnett together. That was, like, one of the highlights of my week. And so now, today, I watch old clips of Carol Burnett on my phone, on YouTube, and I just think of her. Because that was so fun, yeah.
What a great memory. What a great gift to have that memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom was the greatest person in the world.
Some staunch Christian value.
Hard working.
She was always a hard worker.
Faithfulness,
Dedication.
integrity,
Hardworking.
and faith.
I think their faith was very important, and family.
Discipline, just calm about life.
Just knowing that you were loved.
family, faith, the patriotism.
Faith, work, and love.
Church, be hardworking
We're hardworking.
and honest people.
Their faith.
And they didn't preach it to us. It was just something that was instilled.
It was just, it was a farmer's life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.